Hello, mến chào tất cả quý anh chị em. Thì hôm nay là cái poll ngày hôm nay cũng như là ở San Jose, Sacramento cũng như Nam California sẽ có một cái cuộc biểu tình bằng xe để ủng hộ cựu tổng thống Donald Trump tranh cử 2024 cái chức tổng thống của Hoa Kỳ. Thì đây là cái thông báo của cộng đồng người Việt miền Bắc California. Thì ban tổ chức mà có liên lạc thì có ông Jimmy Phan 408 210 5405, ông Long Trần 408 515 2797, ông Phan Hà, cô Phan Hà là 408 2 408 666 6415 liên lạc với ban tổ chức. Đây là địa điểm người ta gọi là San Jose Trump Caravan, là bằng xe đi biểu tình nhằm ngày thứ Bảy tháng 8 ngày 17 2024 lúc 9 giờ sáng tại cái shopping center là Mall, cái shopping rất là lớn. Cái địa chỉ của nó là 2170 Tully Road, San Jose. Đó là thay vì là trung dung, nhưng mà ủy ban đại diện cộng đồng Việt Mỹ, xin lỗi, cũng như là tổ chức để ủng hộ tổng thống Trump. Và ông Triệu Hòa trân trọng kính mời ban tổ chức là ông Triệu Hòa là chủ tịch cộng đồng. Đó là cái thông tin của miền Bắc California. Tất nhiên là thứ Bảy tuần tới, chứ không phải bây giờ nha. Quý vị có điều kiện thì đến đó. Rồi sau đây là mình sẽ cho một cái poll cho quý anh chị em xem. Thì cái poll này để mình chuyển qua cái Việt ngữ luôn cho quý vị anh chị em cho dễ xem á. Cái nói chuyện thì bằng tiếng Anh, nhưng mà có chuyển ngữ qua. Thì quý vị cũng biết như hàng ngày mình nói là còn 217 phiếu cử tri đoàn là đắc từ cái ghế tổng thống. Thì nó sẽ trình bày mỗi tiểu bang thuộc nào nó bỏ phiếu cho Dân Chủ và Cộng Hòa như thế nào. Thì mỗi ngày nó có sự thay đổi á. Thì bây giờ bà Kamala về bây giờ cũng bà cũng lên bà vận động cũng mạnh lắm, đi ra cũng đông người chứ không phải giống như là ông Joe Biden. Xin mời với anh chị em bỏ thì giờ để xem.
Flip from Trump holding a huge lead over Biden to Harris now holding a slim one over Trump. But the popular vote does not decide the winner. The Electoral College does, meaning we need to take a look at the polls in individual states, which tell an entirely different story. Trump has several solid states: Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, South Carolina, West Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri, Kansas, the majority of Nebraska, both of the Dakotas, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, Maine's second, Nebraska at large, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, and Alaska are all firmly in Trump's column. On the other side, Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Colorado, Illinois, New York, Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland, the District of Columbia, and Maine's first are all solidly in Kamala's column. This puts Trump at 219 electoral votes and Harris at 191. Let's now take a look at the latest polls, starting in the Midwest with Minnesota. Harris is currently up by 5 points.
This solar panel is smaller than your hand, and it could eliminate your entire electric bill. Plus,
putting the North Star State in the lean Democratic column. This isn't entirely surprising, given Harris's strategic choice of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. Walz brings strong Midwestern appeal and a track record of winning in a state that's been trending purple in recent years. Remember, Trump came within 1.5 points of flipping Minnesota in 2016. The 5-point lead suggests Harris is shoring up Democratic support here, but it's not the blowout some might expect in a traditionally blue state. Keep an eye on the rural-urban divide here. If Harris can limit her losses in greater Minnesota while running up the score in the Twin Cities, she should hold on real fast. Less than 5% of you viewers are subscribed. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Moving to Wisconsin, we're seeing a dead heat in America's Dairyland. We're giving Harris a slight edge as she's up on average in recent polls, putting Wisconsin in the tilt Democratic column. This state has been the epitome of a battleground in recent elections. Trump won it by less than 23,000 votes in 2016, while Biden flipped it back in 2020 by a margin of about 20,000. The fact that it's this close again underscores Wisconsin's status as a must-win for both candidates. In Michigan, we're seeing a slight shift towards Trump, who now holds a 1-point lead. This moves Michigan to the tilt Republican column. But make no mistake, this race is far from over. Michigan was part of the infamous blue wall that Trump breached in 2016, winning by just over 10,000 votes. Biden flipped it back in 2020 with a more comfortable 150,000 vote margin. The fact that Trump is leading here, even slightly, should set off alarm bells for the Harris campaign. They'll need to drive up turnout in Detroit and its suburbs while trying to cut into Trump's margins in the more rural parts of the state. Pennsylvania, another crucial swing state, is now leaning more Republican with Trump up by 2 points. This moves the Keystone State to tilt Republican, a significant shift that could have major implications for the electoral math. Pennsylvania was the state that put Biden over the top in 2020, but it's looking tougher for Democrats this time around. Trump's messaging on energy and fracking seems to be resonating in western Pennsylvania, while Harris will need to drive up turnout in Philadelphia and its suburbs to have a chance. The battle for Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes could very well decide the election. Virginia has seen a dramatic shift towards Trump, who now leads by 4 points. This moves the Old Dominion into the lean Republican column, a major development in a state that's voted Democratic in every presidential election since 2008. What's driving this shift? It could be a combination of factors: backlash against Democratic policies in the state legislature, concerns about the economy, or simply Trump's message resonating more with suburban voters who had previously rejected him. Whatever the reason, this is a state the Harris campaign can't afford to write off. They'll need to motivate their base in Northern Virginia and the Richmond area to have any chance of keeping Virginia blue. North Carolina remains in the lean Republican column with Trump up by 3 points. This is consistent with recent trends in the Tar Heel state, which has been tantalizingly close for Democrats, but ultimately Republican, in recent presidential elections. Trump won here in both 2016 and 2020, albeit by narrow margins. The growing research triangle around Raleigh-Durham and the Charlotte metro area provide a strong Democratic base, but it hasn't been quite enough to overcome Republican strength in the rural areas. Harris will need to drive up turnout among black voters and college-educated suburbanites to flip this state. Georgia is extremely close, with Trump up by 2 points. We're calling this a tilt Republican state, but it's still anyone's game. Georgia was one of the big surprises of 2020, flipping blue for the first time since 1992. The fact that Trump has regained a narrow lead here suggests that 2020 might have been more of an anomaly than a long-term trend. However, the race remains extremely competitive. Watch the turnout in Metro Atlanta, particularly among black voters, as well as the margins in the growing suburbs. Georgia could once again come down to just a few thousand votes. New Mexico is looking safer for Democrats than previously thought, with Harris up by 7 points. This moves it to the likely Democratic column. While New Mexico has voted Democratic in every presidential election since 2008, it's been closer than many people realize. Trump lost here by only 8 points in 2016. The 7-point lead for Harris suggests she's holding the Democratic coalition together, but it's not an insurmountable lead. Trump will likely try to make inroads with Hispanic voters here, a strategy that's shown some success in other states. Arizona has flipped to Harris, albeit by just 1 point. This puts it in the tilt Democratic category, a key pickup if she can hold it. Arizona was one of Biden's crucial wins in 2020, flipping blue for the first time since 1996. The fact that Harris is holding a narrow lead here is a positive sign for Democrats, but this race is far from over. Watch the margins in Maricopa County, which accounts for over 60% of the state's population. Also key will be turnout among Native American voters and the growing Latino population. Nevada is currently tied, but Trump is up on average in recent polls, so we're calling it a tilt Republican state. This is a significant shift in a state that's voted Democratic in every presidential election since 2008. What's driving this change? It could be economic concerns, as Nevada's tourism-dependent economy was hit hard by the pandemic. It could also be Trump's improved performance among Hispanic voters, a crucial demographic in Nevada. Harris will need to drive up turnout in Clark County to offset Trump's strength in the rural areas. Maine's 2 at-large electoral votes are now in the likely Democratic column. This is good news for Harris in a state that splits its electoral votes. Remember, Trump won one of Maine's 4 electoral votes in 2016 by carrying the 2nd congressional district. While that district is still competitive, the statewide vote is looking safer for Democrats. Finally, we have a surprise in Nebraska's 2nd district, which has shifted to likely Democratic. This is a significant change in a typically Republican state. Nebraska, like Maine, awards electoral votes by congressional district. The 2nd district, which includes Omaha and its suburbs, went for Biden in 2020. The fact that it's now likely Democratic suggests Harris is making inroads in urban and suburban areas, even in red states. These changes dramatically alter our electoral map. The race is much closer than our previous projection, with several key states flipping or becoming more competitive. Trump's path to victory is narrower, but still viable, particularly if he can hold on to states like Georgia and flip Michigan and Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, Harris has new opportunities in states like Arizona, but she'll need to shore up support in traditional Democratic strongholds like Minnesota and Virginia. Remember, folks, polls can shift quickly, and we're still months out from Election Day. The debates, economic developments, and unforeseen events could all shake up this race.
I am proud to have Tim Waltz as my running mate, and today I'm asking you to please pitch in $5.
Đó là cái poll này.
We begin with this Fox News alert.
Ông còn đang gác bà Kamala Harris, ông là được 304 đó, bà Kamala Harris thì như là 200 mấy đó. Nhưng mà còn 2 cái tiểu bang nữa là chưa có tính, giống như là tiểu bang Arizona, với lại một cái tiểu bang mình tự nhiên mình quên rồi đó, kế bên Michigan đó. Thì cái poll thì có thể thay đổi sau khi cái tranh luận, thì tổng thống Trump ông cũng muốn có cái 3 cái cuộc tranh luận trong tháng 9 trong 3 cái đài khác nhau, nhưng mà bên bà Kamala Harris thì chưa cả trả lời. Sau cái đại hội thì thường thường là đảng Dân Chủ, mà đại hội thì nó tăng lên chút nữa thì là rồi sau đó nó quân bình lại. Thì bây giờ cuộc bầu cử này nó cũng gần chứ không phải là mà dễ dàng đâu, nó cũng là gây sôi nổi lắm. Và bà Kamala Harris thì phải đi nhiều á, cũng có số người đi đến cũng đông, không bằng tổng thống Trump nhưng mà cũng đông người, chứ không phải giống như ông Joe Biden. Đây là một cuộc bầu cử này cũng rất là vui, nó cũng rất là hào hứng. Nếu mà thắng dễ quá thì mình không có vui, bây giờ nó sát như vậy thì là nó tốt hơn. Đây là cái quyết định của cái người dân Mỹ. Và mình cũng nhắc lại với anh chị em là nếu ngày 17 á, thứ bảy đó thì cái đến Oxmoor, cái đường Thule đó, tụ họp xe lại rồi lái đi một vòng ở Sacramento xuống cũng như Nam Cali lên, rồi xong cái kéo đi xuống miền trung của California để ủng hộ tổng thống Trump.